Welcome to the Artist Spotlight for Run Radio. I'm Trina Wilcox. My guest today, Kevin Powell of Congate Souls. Welcome.
Thank you, Trina. Happy to be here. Thank you for having me. Thank you for spotlighting indie artists. I appreciate that.
Yes, I love your little background there. Are
Thank
all
you.
of those your personal instruments you play?
Well, kinda.
Okay.
In some level, so we got the little bass there that's kind of hidden. That's Pug. That's kind of my backup. Used to be my main bass. And then the blue one, that's Mahalia. That's the one I love the most. So she gets played the most.
Yeah.
And then the red and white one I use for writing. And then the
Okay.
black one, I had a relative actually give me the back. It's actually like a kid's guitar.
Uh-huh.
So, trying to get the son into it a little bit and everything. So I have that one for him.
Cool.
And then the drum over here, I'll use it to write, but I also have it here because we do we rehearse and we record in this room. So
Okay.
the drummer does a lot better job with that than I do. I have about 2 to 3 limbs. By the time I try to add in a fourth, it goes
Yeah,
bad real quickly.
it's not easy. I
Right,
got a
right.
kit and played with it a little while and then sold the kit because it was just taking up too much room and I
Yeah, that's
wasn't
the other thing.
dedicated. So yes, I understand. All right. So you like uniting people through music. I love
Yeah,
that. I think that's the power of music for sure is
yeah.
bringing people together. But why for you is that your main focus?
It goes back to, a long time growing up and being a kid. I grew up in Baltimore, and that feeds into a lot of what I do, just understanding how people. So for example, a new show just started in Baltimore that is about I think it's a spy show or something. And I got excited because I'm like, ooh, a show centered in Baltimore that isn't about somebody dying.
Right.
Like Baltimore shows are already somebody dying or something about drugs. It's one of the two. And
Right.
yeah, that is a prevalent part of the city. I won't lie about that. But there's also a lot of good things that happen. And there are a lot of good people that get ignored or overlooked because something that's negative or something that's bad draws near. And then you factor in the fact that being from the city, I was often involved in like city government, state government, student council stuff. And I was also always traveling outside of the city a lot more than several of my friends were. And I would go all these other areas and it would be this lack of understanding about who people were really.
Mm-hmm.
Because you look at TV, you look at news. I always say there was two things that affected how people viewed things. That was God and media. Those two things, church and media. Those things kind of
Right.
determine how people are going to look at things, right? At least during that time frame. And so I was sitting here thinking, and it's always been a thing that's kind of been instilled in me because I've started teaching like diversity and stuff of that nature back in high school, and it was that thing that once you get to look at people and once you get to really actually look at what people's motivations and stuff are, you realize that a lot of people are the same. A lot of people have similar motivations, but we don't take enough time to actually stop and listen to those things,
Mm-hmm.
And so it's what is a unifier, what is a connector, and also because music was a great escape for me to get out of being in some of what the city was, it became to me that understanding that music speaks to so many people in so many different ways, and it's a wonderful thing me with the creative aspect of me that I just felt the need to express,
Mm-hmm.
and that I just ultimately really from the beginning kind of feel like if we stopped and loved each other a little bit more.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Like there's so much in this world that could be adjusted and changed, and that doesn't even mean for the capitalists out there that you can't make money. Like you can make money and love other people. Like it's
Right.
possible that they're not what is that, they're not separate, or there's a phrase for it I can't remember now, but they're not things that can't live together.
Right.
So that music thing just folded into that expression, that just folded into that concept of just love and desire for one another, and it just kind of all melded and meshed and came together into something.
So it's been a part of your life growing up then, music.
Oh heck yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, I
Okay.
started I started actually playing in second grade. I started playing trumpet in second grade.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Yeah, yeah. So I started playing. Well, no, change that. I played recorder in second grade
I
because
was going
everybody
to
has to
say, we
start.
all got recorders before we got band
Everybody has to start
instruments.
starting at that instrument, right? So I went from trumpet, and then I went from trumpet to clarinet, and
Okay.
then I
Wow.
read a book on Louis Armstrong, and then I went from clarinet quickly over to trumpet. And
Okay.
so let's say about third grade. Let's change that. Adjust for
Yeah.
the third.
but still, that was pretty young for that's quite a lot already at
Oh
that
yeah.
early age, you know. And I remember we had choir. I always liked singing. So did you just love singing too?
Yes and no. Singing
Hmm.
is actually kind of a new thing for no, put it this way. Singing well is a new thing for me.
Okay. Yeah, yeah. It's hard.
It's an elevation. I used to say a guy put a trumpet in my mouth so I wouldn't sing.
Oh, funny.
But I'm one of those people who wakes up all the time and you just start singing, or I'd be walking around and I'm singing, or I hear a song in the supermarket and I'm singing like I am that guy, admittedly. But I never really sang in front of people until honestly the first time I ever sang in front of people like solo. I mean, I did church choir and stuff of that nature, but the first time I sang in front of people solo was right before one show, right before COVID, when we were first trying to get off the ground. That was the first time I'd ever sung in front of people on like a microphone in my life. And I was yeah, I've done speeches in front of people. I've been on stage in front of people. I've acted. Like I said, I played jazz from like third grade, doing solos, nothing. But that singing thing just scared me to death.
So once you got it done, did you love it and crave more, or were you okay with like I've done it, I'm all right, that's it?
It's an evolving.
Do what now?
It's an evolving process.
Okay, okay,
Like
fair
I'm better
enough.
with it. I'm better with it because one of the
Yeah.
things that I'm a mixture of creative and analytical.
Uh-huh.
So I'm like the creative side of me can just get up there and be like, go. But the
Mm-hmm.
analysis side of me is like, are you doing this correctly? Is this technically right? You know, so I have to
Right.
battle that sometimes.
Sure.
But which is one of the reasons I also started voice lessons because I was like, I want to do this. This is what I want to do. You know, I want to
Yeah.
do transition from some other work to doing music primarily. Um, but also, if I want to do something and I want to do it right, and I want to do it in a way that's respectful to the people who are listening to me and pay money to come see me, and I want to be interact with in front of a microphone, I need to do it the best I can. And plus, if there's something there that makes me think I can learn how to do it better, then why not explore that? Like, why not explore being better? It's a new
Sure.
day, which means new lessons to learn. So,
So talk a little bit about your evolution through, growing up and music being there. Has it been something that's always just been there, or did you ever move it to the forefront and think, no, this is going to be my entire life in the forefront? What's that been like for you?
ooh, that's been a road.
Yeah.
That's been a road. So like I said, I started playing the second. About third grade, I started playing in trumpet, and it's one of those things you're doing it,
Hmm.
and you're doing it because it's the after school program, or you're doing it because it's something to do. And then I think somewhere around fifth or sixth grade, so I had an older sister, and she had a friend who was a trumpet player as well. And her friend was he was starting to get out there and do stuff, and he was great because he would drag me around. And
Hmm.
you know, back then it was 90s, so back then, you know, drag you around in a party was a jam session, but you had to go over here to rent some equipment. It wasn't as digitized and as simple as it is now. So
Right.
you had to have a truck and you had to pick up
Yeah.
all this extra stuff, and then you had to
Yeah.
take all that stuff downstairs. Like you're getting in a workout.
Yep. You're earning it.
Like you're earning it. You're getting in the workout.
Yeah.
But he would drag me around because he played trumpet too. And you know, and since he was 3 years my older, he would like try and shout a solo and stuff. And I was still shy about it and still kind of in the background. And I think I remember it was starting to evolve around sixth grade, but right around seventh grade, um, I went to a birthday party of his, and it was a jam session in the basement. That's what musicians do. And we're sitting there, and I've never really soloed before. Like I've played
Hmm.
music. It's seventh grade. You kind of don't do improv yet,
Right.
unless you're just exploring on your own. And we're sitting there, and we're in the basement and playing. And an older Dizzy Gillespie actually comes walking downstairs because he knew who Dizzy Gillespie was. And he comes walking downstairs, and I kind of got like my first improv jazz lesson from Dizzy. He was like, just
Wow.
do it like this, just do it like that. And it was like, once I went through that, I got some touch of the ability to express myself to a different level.
Oh, cool.
And it was like, oh my gosh. Like oh, I mean, I was nervous as all get out, and I was
Hmm.
messing up because you know it's your first time. Who does anything right the first time? But it was just like this amazing, wonderful thing where I got to see something inside myself. And from then I was like, I want to do this. I want to do this. And
Mhm.
so I kind of pursued it. I was going down that line right before my senior year of high school. Um, I I used to record everything. So a rehearsal would get recorded back, cassette tape, but it would get recorded. And I was doing an internship at an insurance company. It was my day to drive everybody to lunch. I had the rehearsal tape in the car, and somebody was actually the cousin of somebody who worked at Sony. And I
Okay.
happened to, he was like, leave it in. And then he's like, can I borrow this? And I'm like, oh, it's a rehearsal tape, whatever. And so he borrowed it. He gives it to cousin or uncle. I forgot which one it was now that I think about it. And they're like, oh, we want to talk to you. So that turns into, oh, we could do something, you know, like we're really looking at doing something. But that was my going into my senior year, which
Mhm.
means I could either have to involve my parents, and home was a little rocky, and have to involve my parents, or I could wait a year, and I'm 18 at that point. So that was my
Right.
plan. I was going to wait, stay in touch. We were staying in touch. And right before, actually 2 days, April 20th, before my 18th birthday, I got this pain in my chest, which did not go away for 7 years. And so when you're dealing with trumpet, and trumpet has a lot of it has a lot of a lot of the air comes back, so it expands your rib cage. And so I had a lot of inflammation in my ribs and chest. And so anytime I played the trumpet, I would, like, I just couldn't play. And then you go through this period of like, but no, this is what I want to do. And then next
Oh.
thing you know, you're trying to play, but then you end up in the emergency room. So you try to play, and then you're splitting up the set, taking all these anti-inflammatories and all these meds, try to get through. And then you got I had the little TENS unit, that little electric current thingy thing.
Yeah.
I would have that turned up on high, kill the battery essentially in one set, and then put
Oh
in another just to
no.
make it through a show, because I really, really just wanted to play that badly. And up until that point, I didn't really play anything else because of trumpet, because I just wanted to be that amazing at the trumpet. So I
Mhm.
didn't really practice other instruments. That was my connection to music. And so I eventually had to walk away from music for a little bit. And over that period of walking away, you got it, you have it around. I didn't have all these things. I had my one trumpet and a couple other things, and I actually just kind of left it for a second because I was depressed about the fact that I couldn't do
Yeah, for sure.
it. And yeah, I'm trying to do my other career and the backup stuff I wanted to do, but that was what I wanted, truly,
Mhm.
truly wanted to pursue. And so, you know, I think it was 2000. What year were you in? 23. So it was 2018 finally that just actually it was 19. It was 2019. We were just belief in God and whatever. And we went to a prayer group, and it was like a prayer thing. And it was all of a sudden I could feel this thing ping ponging like, and in the process of that, right before that, I had started picking up the bass again. So I left out that. So right when I couldn't play, I picked up the bass a little bit because I had a buddy who just needed a bassist. So I was like, I'll pick up the bass just because that's what I listened to when I played jazz. But it never really kind of connected to me as much because it wasn't the first love.
Right.
And so during that 2018 time frame, I picked up the bass again. I had another buddy who just met a guy who just needed a bassist for something. I was going through a divorce at the time, so it was like, hey, I got some time I need to do something positive with.
Mhm.
So it ended up being that I started playing with him. I learned the love for that. I learned to love the bass in the way I needed to love it to
Oh,
play it
good.
correctly,
Yeah.
which is odd because once I learned to love that, and then I got back into writing, I got back into doing music. Took a second because technology and things had shifted considerably.
Mhm.
and, and by the time I went back through that trip, then when we went through that prayer group, all of a sudden it's like, oh crap, I don't feel pain. And I picked up my trumpet and I could actually play it for the first time in like whew, what, 17 or so years.
Oh my gosh.
Um, yeah, so that was my evolution back around to come all the way back around to now I'm in this time and space where it's like, all right, life is settled somewhat in a way where I had this open door to actually pursue what I wanted to pursue
Mm,
20 years ago or
great. That's
or
great.
25 years ago. So yeah.
Well, talk about how you appreciate the indie space then because of everything that you've been through with, maybe working with a label and then
Yeah,
not feeling up to it. So the indie space is, I think it's coming into a great space. So how do you feel about that?
I do. I do. I mean, there's a lot of stuff in the indie space that you do still have to deal with and you have to
Right.
figure out. Um, I think one of the benefits that I'd hate to admit, but it is a benefit of having to spend all that time away, is there are a lot of things in the indie space that I did in that time frame. Because
Mm-hmm.
what I wanted to get into outside of music was media and marketing.
Yeah.
So I got into media and marketing and I continued on with my diversity training and my diversity facilitation. So now it's like, okay, social media is this thing. Well, I did it for clients. I have to get past doing it for myself, but I've done it, you know.
Yeah.
Doing video and all that stuff. There are a lot of legs of what's required to kind of get yourself out there because of all the
Mm-hmm.
noise that is out there
Yes.
that the labels have an input and an advantage over you on, but they also take a heavy piece of your creativity. They take a heavy piece of your ownership. They take a heavy piece of your soul when they do that. And so
Yeah.
and so even though I have to do a lot of it on my own, I feel as though at least it's my baby.
Yeah.
So it's my effort. And so I don't mind as much. And what I love is there seems to be this infrastructure coming out for indie groups that's amazing. Like I do have a PR group that helps me a little bit, but it's still my stuff
Yeah.
that they follow.
Yes.
It's not the big record label telling you exactly how you're supposed to be in PR and how exactly
Yeah.
how who you're supposed to look like and what you're supposed to represent. Because I also realize with our music and the music I come up with, sometimes it doesn't fit cleanly into a genre. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That is true. I mean, and I've even just seen that just listening to even a lot of the current popular music that the
yeah,
crossover in genres is unreal. Like
yeah,
I'll hear a playlist that they're calling something punk, and I'm like, I thought that was alternative, or vice versa.
right,
It's
right,
crazy.
right.
So I appreciate you not feeling forced to be in a genre like that, and
Yeah,
that you can just get out your music and your sound.
yeah.
So what kind of advice would you give any musician that is doing the hustle, the struggle, and trying to make it all click?
I would say, and this is something that we generally don't think about from a creative side, but there's a process to creativity. So sit down and figure out what the process is for you.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Now creating a process doesn't create this state thing that doesn't have any flexibility. But you want to make sure that you spend time. If you want to write music, then dedicate time to writing music, whether it's good or bad. Just
Yeah.
write something, you know,
Yeah.
just write something. You write enough bad stuff, you'll get to something good. Or oftentimes, what you find out is you'll write something that you think sucks, and then you come back to it a little bit later on, you listen to it, and you hear something in there that was, this piece was good. This takes me somewhere that I didn't think about, and you actually reorganize and restructure, and you actually end up someplace that you actually like versus where you started.
Yeah.
And I'm also a big fan of trying to plan out stuff.
Okay.
Yes, I'm a band. Yes, it's music. Yes, I want to go out there and play as many places, but I also do have a structure for what type of places I'm trying to reach,
Mm-hmm.
when I'm trying to reach them, what I'm trying to have in place when I do reach them. And and so if you can do that, I feel like it allows you the opportunity to get further down the road, because if you can get ahead of yourself, then you have more flexibility to just improvise or be creative or just figure out whatever you want to do at the moment. And that's something I had to learn. Like, the further down I plan, or the further I can take care of stuff that I know is coming out of the
Mm-hmm.
way, the more flexibility it actually gives me.
Yes. Yes.
It
I would
actually
agree
gives
with
me
that. Yes.
flexibility to be better planned. So just
Yes.
take care of stuff. The summer's coming the same time every year. Your birthday's coming at the same time. Christmas is the same day.
Yeah, right. I
There's
get
things
that.
that are just happening at the same time every year. So if I can just get rid of those things off my table beforehand, then it gives me flexibility. And yeah, and explore. Like, I value very much the concept, even though I'm talking a lot now, but that's, I guess, kind of what I'm supposed to do here. But
Yes.
but I value very much the concept of just listening and
Yeah.
just sitting back and just listen, not only to other music, but to other people, to the world around you, to podcasts. Listen as much as you possibly can listen.
What do you think one of the biggest mistakes indie artists might be making?
Trying to be who you aren't.
Okay. Trying
Yeah.
to be what everybody else
Yeah.
is and fit into that. Yeah.
Yeah, trying to be who
Okay.
you are. I feel like creativity, whether you're talking about music, whether you're talking about painting or graphic design, or I don't care what it is, but I feel like that's supposed to be, so element of you doesn't necessarily fit in a great box. That's also what makes it the creative part.
Yeah.
So if you aren't punk, don't make punk.
Mhm.
Like, I could play punk if you want me to, but that's not what I'm going to write. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know, and I'll periodically do something like I'll write like I've written rock songs just to be like, all right, I want to learn how to write a rock song so I can play a straight up hardcore rock song. But it's
Yeah.
not necessarily what I'm going to release. It's for the evolution of my thought process. But I'm also not necessarily the person you look at and would think hard rock, you know?
Right. Right. So let's talk about your music that's out now. Tell people about your latest release, what you're
Mhm.
making, and where they can get it.
Yeah, so Give Me a Little Bit is our latest one, which we released right before Valentine's Day, but it's one of the few songs we have that might be directly related to the concept of love, just because I think love is universal and bigger than just romantic love. But this song is kind of where you're at that make up or move on point in life. We've all been in that relationship. We've all been at that point. So it's kind of the exploration of, in that moment, do you make up, do you commit to something longer, do you move on, and all the kind of feelings that are associated around there. And then we just kind of played with it musically, as far as elements of what am I doing with the guitar, what am I doing with the bass, and everything of that nature. So it's kind of a fun story, and we actually released 3 music videos on it.
Cool.
Because the over difficult creative side of me was like, every band member at that time, what if we all had different stories of love?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so everybody has a different story of love. So one is like that relationship where it's the quiet couple that is just very talkative, the quiet professional, very quiet and talkative, talks through everything type of couple. The other one is the video gamer type of couple. The other one is the romantic, the heartless romantic, and the influencer type of thing. And where do these relationships go at this moment? And so that was the one we released last. We did one before them, which was called Milk, and that's just based off the concept of everybody's trying to care for their family, trying to take care of those around them, put their children in a good environment. And so that looks, actually, that's a story one too. I tend to write in stories. That one actually looks through the concept of love and stories, and what are people going through to try and care for those around them. And then before that, we had Every Day in Every Way, which people tend to love, which is just about pressing through and moving on. So, you know, as far as finding us, you can find us at cognatesouls.com. That is COGNATE souls.com. There you can find everything. Our links to everything is on there. You can find the links to Spotify, Apple Music, our YouTube channel. You'll also find an ability to sign up for our newsletter, so please do that. I don't think a lot of people realize in the indie world, if we have a longer email list, it helps us book. So
Nice. Okay.
you know,
Yeah.
yeah. So it's great to
That's
go to the
good to
social
know.
media and stuff like that. But if you can go to our email list and sign up for our email list, then when we go to some place and say we want to book, yeah, they'll ask for socials. But if we can say, hey, we got 10,000 email subscribers or 2,000 email, it's a lot better than if we say 20, even if we have the same 10,000 on social media. You know?
That's a great tip to know. That's fantastic. I bet that is something that a lot of folks might not know if they
Yep.
haven't started booking yet or anything. That is great. You
Yeah,
can
yeah.
also listen on runradio.net. And please come back next time. You've got more to share. This has been a great conversation. I appreciate your passion, and it's coming through, and I wish you great success.
Thank you so very much. I appreciate you playing some of our songs. I would be happy to
Yes.
come back. Thank you, Trina.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Bye.